Not like this, man. Not like this. With how this day was starting, Ziyech arriving at Cobham, looking good in the blue shirt too. You're thinking, okay, this is a good start to the day. This is a good sign of things to come. Today's result was an absolute disaster. A lot's riding on us getting a top 4 finish. We know that. We know that when it comes to certain signings too, a top 4 finish is big. If we don't get UCL football, if we don't get a top 4 finish, the hard work we've done in our foundation year could mean absolutely nothing in the end. Honestly, knowing that United and Leicester City have 2 winnable easy games too, Leicester City against Bournemouth and United against Crystal Palace. Wow, I mean, today was bad and I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start. I'm going to do my best here, you guys, to really break down the game for you and to let you guys know the areas that really cost us today. And maybe the people and the personnel that cost us too. You know, this game was humbling for me too. Of course, my prediction in the predicted lineup video is absolutely stupid now. And I learnt my lesson. Games like this, you have to respect your opponent more. And sometimes when you're a fan of a big club, you know, when you see everyone beneath you as like, like not good enough, not even worth worrying about getting those points against, you know, you can set yourself up for failure. And I think today, this is where Sheffield United's ultimately profited. For me, right from the start, their game plan, their tactics was fully on point. And I think maybe the best place to start now is with the lineup and the formation we use. Now, I thought 4-3-3 might be it. I thought with Lampard announcing that Kovacic was available, maybe this meant that he'd be fit to play in the game and start. I felt like he'd be key in that midfield. He has that strength, that physicality. He can cover grounds. You know, he's fast. Jorginho played instead, and you're thinking, okay, I can understand with how he finished last game, but, you know, against the Sheffield United team, is he the midfield player that we want? Now, I'm going to be criticising a lot of people today, and I'm going to dish out the criticism fairly and evenly. You know, I think maybe starting with Jorginho, this was probably his worst game in a Chelsea shirt easily. Awful. Second half, as the game was going on, he got worse and worse and worse. And all the things that he's criticised for, they were on complete show today. That lack of ability to cover ground, it costs teams like us where we rely on putting men forward, pushing them forward, letting them attack, leaving their positions in their zones too. And when you don't have that protection behind, that does affect what you can do in midfield. On top of that, I thought his passing was atrocious. Every forward pass offered nothing, flat, terrible, not accurate. Wow, this is really bad. Really poor performance, offered us absolutely nothing, no protection. And, you know, he single-handedly was the one to further cause us more embarrassment. Every single time he made a mistake in midfield. It was easy for Sheffield United to create attacks and go 1v1 against our keeper. Wow, I mean, he's the first guy to get out of the way. The second person I want to critique now is Frank Lampard. Now, I'm going to try to be objective with Frank. I want to be objective by painting the picture that, listen, we know that with the COVID climate right now, you're playing games every 3 to 4 days. That's like mad intense. That is really intense. When you consider too that you're constantly traveling up and down the country. Now, you know, football players are still human beings. You know, they're not robots. All that time being taken away from training. You know, going up to Sheffield to getting the coach there, coach back. You know, team won't get back until late hours in the evening. And then a few days after that, you got a game. It puts every manager in a situation where it is hard to maybe work on the team how you like. It's hard to work on game plans and tactics too. And I think maybe this is why a lot of managers throughout the league are kind of using the same teams from before in the same systems in hopes that momentum and confidence from the previous game is going to push you forward. But, you know, against Sheffield United today, and as I said from the start, you know, I learned big lessons today, and that's what I love about this game. I'm constantly learning every single time. Sheffield United showed us why maybe not using a back 3 system cost us. And even me saying that though, back 3, you know, it's not like we have some commanding centre backs. I mean, come on, Rudiger coming on to make it a back 3 second half offered absolutely nothing. You know, he was really poor too. I mean, his involvement for the third goal, I don't even know how he got his body position that poor. This was bread and butter to deal with. I mean, come on. Once that goal went in, everything was just lost basically. There was no point doing nothing. So when you're relying on players like this to obviously change the game in your favour, it's not going to happen, my friends. So even me thinking, would a back 3 really help us? Maybe, yeah, because at least we get to match Sheffield United as a team, man for man in midfield. tactically, they just completely had us this entire game. Now, I've been telling you guys how teams are now starting to target our right-hand side a lot more. You know, they know that with Willian and Reece, they're our main creative outlets to get this team pushing further up. So if you stop them getting forward, if you limit their effects, you really stop a lot of the great things we do. And obviously, once guys like Ziyech and Werner can play in the team, listen, the way we play as a team is going to be much better. Just don't have that type of quality throughout the entire team. That's the honest truth. Sheffield United were the second team I saw like completely dominate us tactically. The first team I saw was against Bayern Munich, and surprise, surprise, it was a 3-0 loss against both teams. I mean, the way they just overloaded us in the wide areas too, how they used their pressing tactics as well. They used that mid-block setup. They were having their two midfield players in Sunderberg and Osborne. They were following Barkley and Mason Mount whenever they were dropping deep to receive passes from Jorginho. By playing like this, they were basically impenetrable in the middle. We could not progress the ball further forward, and we were constantly playing, you know, useless sideways passes because there were no options forward. The only times we were ever able to move the ball forward was when guys like Pulisic and Willian were able to find space and drop a lot deeper. That was the only way. But you know, it felt like off the ball defensively, Sheffield United were outmanning us in areas that we needed to progress the ball and move it forward. So if we had a different formation with different options, this could have been key, especially in the build-up phase too. So I can understand from Frank's perspective that ideally you're missing your big boys like Kovacic. I mean, this guy is easily starting this game and providing a lot more midfield. Kante as well. There's no way some of the things we saw Jorginho doing, Kante is doing that at all. So missing out on players like this, it can affect what you do. But for me, I still think that Lampard should have maybe understood what the game was going to be like against Sheffield United, and maybe had countermeasures in place. But even me saying this now, it sounds like complete hindsight because I didn't personally think of it. But my main criticism of Lampard today was his reactions for the second half. Now, I thought that tactically the subs didn't really do anything. Nothing at all, to be honest. Is that down to maybe not having the right options or maybe fit enough players to really bring something different? Maybe. That could be some people's argument, but I just felt like there was nothing from the tactics, no new lease of life, no new spark, no new nothing. And the team in the second half looked kind of lost. You know, we forced like a formation where we had two strikers up front, which was clearly nothing that we've worked on before. There was no passing combinations. And for me, you can tell the strength of the tactics in the system, and that is dependent on the chance creation. Now, how well are we creating opportunities on goal? How effective and fluid are we looking in the final third? These are the things that tell me, okay, the game plan is on point and it's working. It wasn't there, and I felt like in the second half, bar a few opportunities like maybe you're hoping a Tammy Abraham, who I'll get onto later on, and other players could have done a bit better, but you know, these opportunities still weren't perfect. They still weren't great. We still didn't really provide anything different against Sheffield United. They maintained their same game plan. They didn't have to react to us whatsoever. And I think that really told you all the issues that we had with Lampard and the tactics today. So, you know what? Obviously, Lampard's a great manager. It's not like this automatically proves that he's not good enough. You guys know I don't do that reactionary nonsense. You know, I like to think long term. You know, I've been watching this game for many, many years. So, you know, times like this, these results are frustrating. But I don't know. Normally I'm quite objective, but I think this defeat today, knowing the importance of getting the 3 points, knowing the importance of securing a top 4 spot, I think it makes it worse and makes it more disappointing. So I'm not feeling too forgiving in this sense, you guys. You know, moving on to other players too. Or maybe let's even speak about the goals we conceded. First goal, wow. I mean, terrible goal. You know, Mason Mount was getting caught out midfield time and time again. You know, ultimately it was his fault for the goal, and then obviously Reece James then played McGoldrick on sides, and the minute that commentator said he hasn't scored a single Premier League goal, I think we all just collectively knew that he's going to score against us, isn't he? He did better, ends up scoring too, so that really summed up just how useless we were for most of this game today, you guys. But that first goal set the precedent. It was really poor. Second goal is even worse. Whitley and Reece James on that right hand side. Now, I'm sorry, I'm going to be less harsh on one particular individual, and that's Willian, because Today, I got the vibe that he just wasn't fit enough. He felt really tired. He looked really tired, and that wasn't surprising knowing how he's been playing with so much intensity since the restart. And I think due to how well he's been, he's forgiven. I'd even say the same thing for Christian Pulisic too. You know, I think he forced quite a lot of the things at times, but it's not like he was given the best possible service. It's not like he was, the game plan was fully on point. He was dropping way too deep than he normally would prefer to, meaning that you're taking Christian away from the danger zones. You know, so in that sense, their involvement today is more understandable. But the manner in which that second goal came to, Christensen always being in a position in the near post where he's not affecting anything, not getting near enough, not covering those zones properly too, and, you know, Kurt Zouma being forced to make another last-ditch something to prevent the second goal. But, you know, that second goal had nothing to do with Kepa, not at all. I mean, he did his best with that deflection from such a short distance with no power, because that's the thing, people are saying parrying the shots, which obviously keepers should do, but in context is that deflection barely had any power. So to do that in the last second, you know, I'm not going to hold that against him. But, you know, that's the third goal from Rudiger. As I was telling you guys earlier, I don't know how he messed that up and fumbled it. That was easy bread and butter to deal with. And from men, I'm hearing all the time that your Jorginhos and Rudigers are these big players for the team that, you know, they're like the leaders, you know, the people that make things happen. You know, I don't really see it. You guys know my thoughts, opinions on Rudiger this entire time. You know, I feel like he's never been like that top 4 level defender. I think he's a good squad player to have if you have better defenders in front. But for me, he's not someone that really starts games week in, week out. You know, sometimes you think about these defensive issues, but for me, I think my answer is that it comes down to the individual quality at times. You know, Christensen, a guy for his age, I don't think he's played as many games yet, maybe. I mean, last season he barely played under Sarri. You know, I look at other individual mistakes to your Jorginho's. He's clearly not suited to the tactics, and we were throwing so many men forwards. You know, to be honest, Jorginho was bound to fail. He was bound to fail with all that space he had to cover. But quality on the ball went there. How Frank Lampard wishes he could turn to a Ziyech in a game like this today. You know, his deliveries, his set pieces, his crosses inside the box would have been a massive benefit, and just his ability to bring that bit of something from nothing. I feel that's one of those qualities we miss in this team. You know, we don't have that player that's going to produce an unbelievable moment out of nothing and completely change the game in our favour. We ain't at that level just yet, you guys. It's a bit frustrating, but I think the most disappointing thing for me today was that Lampard had no solutions against Sheffield United. You know, especially his second half. No solutions against them whatsoever. I guess our only saving grace is that our next game is against Norwich. They're relegated now, so this should be a guaranteed 3 points. You can only hope and pray that either one of Leicester City or United don't get that result against their opponents. But, you know, we have responsibility on our hands. You know, we had the leads and we're blowing it now. So it is disappointing, you guys. And on that note, to hear all my thoughts and opinions on each and every single individual today, make sure you wait for the player ratings video. I'm in the FC, this is Blue Lions TV, and see you guys later.